accountability and, especially systemic failure in Kenya's digital revenue collection system, right? We know the story of e-Citizen. The president has been categorical that all transactions, in government has to be transmitted through the 2222. Okong'o Omogeni. Just briefly.
Can I say something before I answer you?
Sure.
Yeah, just one clarification. When I made that statement that the president is the chair of National Security Council, Kaluma was making an assertion that the police is not one of those organs. But I want to tell him that if you read Article 239, they are part of security organs.
I'm saying the police
so
is independent command of inspector, not president.
No, I was talking about supervisory authority.
Supervisory is AMSAC, not the president.
Yeah, supervisory. So, and I'm happy. You started like Saul, you almost becoming Paul, but you are still somewhere in there on this issue of extrajudicial killings.
Okong'o is creating debates.
But I'm happy with my friend Ashoka. If I was still president of Law Society, you deserve an honorary degree. You have really advocated for, fundamental rights and freedoms, and that's what we should do when we're on these platforms. Dibal, there is nothing wrong with an agitation to have Ruto serve one term. It's within the Constitution. When he was sworn into office to serve one term. And if you don't perform, Kenyans have a right to say you will be a one-term president. And we have seen there are so many countries in Africa where presidents have done one term, including Nigeria, which used to be under military rule. Goodluck Johnson transited from deputy president, became president, and he was voted out of office. The other day in Zambia, Edgar Lungu, who was having the same traits like President William Ruto, he really tormented Chilemi Akainde. But he served one term, he was voted out. God bless his soul, he died the other day. In Ghana, you know what happened to Mahama? Mahama, the people rebelled. There was a rebellion against his leadership. He took over 2 months to the full election. When the president in office died, he was voted out after one term. Mahama, was he not voted out?
To stay
so there is nothing wrong. You can't tell Kenyans that agitating for Ruto to serve one term is unconstitutional. You know George Weah? Mm-hmm. What happened in
Liberia?
In Liberia. He did one term because the Liberians said every time we hear about George Weah is on a flight to the US. And he was voted out and he gave him the power. To the people like, what's this guy, Sudi? Let him be a good student of history. You saw what happened in 2012 in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. When President Gabo lost an election and he wanted to entrench himself in office.
And BAMBA was sent.
He even captured state organs, the Constitutional Council, where he filed a case and struck off some votes of Ouattara and said, I will not leave office.
And BAMBA was sent.
He was removed in office by UN forces, backed by the French army. And he left. In fact, after leaving office, and people should read the Constitution very carefully, he was taken to the Hague, charged, though he was finally acquitted, but he faced the law. The person who was elected by the people in Ivory Coast, Ouattara, was sworn into office as president.
Installed by
so
BAMBA.
When,
are you admitting that?
Okay, BAMBA was there and he played a key role.
You to stop, wait for elections.
So people like Sudi should not behave like they have never gone to school. They should read history. There is these stories of telling Kenyans that if somebody is an incumbent, he cannot hand over power.
No, that is wrong.
That is wrong. And I'm happy that my friend Kaluma here is backing me on that. If you are performing well, you will get us elected. If you don't perform well, you'll be voted out. In Africa, even in developed democracies, 1976, Jimmy Carter, he was elected as a very popular president, identifying with the hustlers of America. But he was disappointed. In 1980, he was kicked out. He did one term. George Bush, Sr., did one term.
One term.
So we have to tell Ruto, one term is part of the game. It's part of the rules of the game.
But allow
if
him
you
to-
disappoint, you will do one term
lead.
and you will go home.
Allow him to lead.
Who has not allowed him
Yeah,
to
you are
lead?
making too much noise on the streets.
You know,
Allow him to lead.
You know,
All right.
my friend Kaluma, internet
we should
internet never forgets.
Yes.
You know, one day you'll be forced to eat your own words.
Okay.
Because you should, as a lawyer, you should support democracy. You should support democracy. We should support constitutionalism. If people cast a vote and they give you a very resounding message of sending you home, hand over power and go home.
Yes.
And that's what the president should be telling his lieutenants, that let's fight hard to win the re-election. But if we lose, in order for our children, our properties to be safe, we hand over power and wait to fight another day. That is the Kenya we want. That is the Kenya that our Gen Z want. That is the Kenya that we should, as leaders, fight to have.
Thank you. Let me just pose that particular question I asked to Honorable Dr. Nyikal, the issue of corruption and the